A double standard that we're all aware of. All around the world for hundreds of years. The man over here, we're going to debate, huh? We're going to get together. We're going to talk about the Quran. The Quran is responsible, as we all know, and do not want to admit it. The Quran is responsible for murder, rape, terrorism. We have in America a double standard.
Yeah.
A few months ago, our military, this is how far we've sunk. Our military has become very cowardly. You know what happened a few months ago? And you know, if somebody wants to burn a Quran, just a second.
Yeah, we got us here, Quran.
That's okay. We're just talking right now. Here, I'm my truck. There you go. So you know what happens? Let's hold on to it. I need to finish it. Well, what happens in, y'all ready? You know what happens a few months ago in Afghanistan? A church sent over some Bibles to one of the soldiers there. And you know what happened? Our military, because we're afraid. Well, we're afraid of Islam, we're afraid of their terror. We have become a weak, cowardly nation, we're afraid that we might possibly insult someone. So what did we do? We took the Bibles and we threw them in the trash. Now, did y'all get mad about that? Did y'all get mad? How about the news media? Anybody get mad about that? Did anybody call in the police saying you're going to get arrested if you burn the Quran? No. Did anybody get upset because they burned the Bible? They had hundreds of Bibles. They took them, threw them in the trash. The trash. This country was established on the Bible. If you don't believe that, go to Washington, D.C. If you go to Washington, D.C., right before the Supreme Court, right before you walk in, you know what's there? Right above the door is Moses. Moses was not carrying a Quran. Moses has the Bible, the Ten Commandments in his hand. So what do we do as a military? Instead of standing up, what do? We take the Bible and we throw it in the trash. And we take it out back and we burn it. And in Egypt we let, for already hundreds of years, we let Muslims, the radical element of Islam, with their Quran and their lies, let them kill Christians. We let them kill Christians. We let them burn down churches. We let them murder people. And what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. But you know what? If I burn the Quran today, you know what will happen? This young lady right here already warned me. I'll be arrested. I'll be arrested for burning the Quran for a book.
We don't do the same as they are doing.
That is where we are at in the United States of America. And that is why we have to stand up. People have asked, why are we here? We are here for 4 reasons. We are here, number one, to exercise our freedom of speech. This country was based upon the freedom of speech. It is based upon the freedom of the press. Not that the press should tell us what we should believe or not believe. That is not their job. Their job is to allow us to decide and to read and to do what we feel is right. This country was based upon the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press. We are demanding of Islam. We are demanding of the Muslim-dominated countries 4 things. 4 things we are demanding. Now y'all listen up. You want to debate. Part of debate is you have to listen. We are demanding 4 things. That Muslim-dominated countries, that they open up their doors to freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Freedom of speech. And freedom of religion is not an American thing. That is a human right. That is a civil right. We are demanding, let's go, Gil. We are demanding that the President of the United States, which is, by the way, the worst president in the history of the United States, we are demanding that the President of the United States, that the Western countries, that they go to the UN and that they demand that these Muslim-dominated countries, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, that they adapt human rights. For hundreds and hundreds of years, Islam has been killing Christians. Turn on the news. Even right now, even our own president supports the Muslim Brotherhood. That is the first thing that we're demanding. That they open up their doors to freedom of speech, freedom of religion. How can anyone be against that? The second thing that we are demanding is that all Muslim immigration be halted for this particular time.
Yes.
That right now, until we figure out what they really want, because as we know, Muslims lie. It is part of their doctrine, it is part of their theory, it is part of what they do. They lie. That is what they do. So we are saying all Muslim immigration must be stopped at this time. All illegal aliens in this country, whether they be Muslim, Mexican, any other, they need to be removed from the country. They are illegal. Number two, all Muslim immigration must be at this particular time halted and stopped until we see what type of agenda they have. Number three, all mosques. We have in America freedom of speech, freedom of religion. That is fine. They can build mosques, they can worship, but we are demanding of the United States government that those mosques be checked, that they are indeed places of worship and not places of propaganda. In year 2000, there was a report given to the State Department. In that report it said 80% of all the mosques, this is a report given to the State Department. This is a report, an official report. It said at that time in year 2000, 80% of all mosques were controlled, were led by radical imams. That those mosques need to be checked. That they are indeed places of worship and that they are not places of Islam and Islamic propaganda along with the schools.
Stop bringing their Muslims together.
That all embassies outside of the United States, our embassies in Muslim-dominated countries, there is a very serious thing that is going on there. A lot of those embassies, or most of those embassies, people in authority are Muslims. In American embassies, the people who are in authority, the people who make the decisions, should not be Muslims. They must be Americans. What is going on there? That in those countries, they are being dominated, they are being controlled, our embassies, by Muslims. And what happens when Coptic Christians come? When people who are trying to escape that oppression, why is that such a surprise? Look at the history books. Well, what do we have, 1,400 years? 1,400 years of oppression. You know, in America we have a big issue, slavery, 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 slavery. You should check the Islamic slavery. The Islamic slavery compared to American slavery. It makes American slavery look like a walk in the kindergarten. Check out Islamic slavery. We need to not allow any Muslims in the embassies to be in positions of authority. Because what happens is when these people come, they're seeking asylum in America. This is what happens. They are turned down. They are sent back into the country where they are killed, where they are persecuted. Right now in Egypt, worse than ever before, and our president supports the Muslim Brotherhood. Our president lies. Our president gave a speech in Egypt several months ago saying that Islam has always been a part of the American story. That's taqiyya. That is a lie. That is not true. Our economy is going down the tube, and he wants to give $1 billion to Jordan. Wants to give $2 billion to Egypt. Stop. We must stop. Number 4, stopping all and the banning of Sharia. We must call for a nationwide ban of Sharia. We have in the United States only one set of rules. It is called the Constitution. You want to live in the United States? Then you live under American Constitution. We do not have Sharia. We do not allow Sharia. We do not want a Sharia. You want Sharia? Go back to where Sharia is practiced. We do not want it here. We will not have it here. We will not allow it to be here. As of right now, only 2 states have banned Sharia. Louisiana and Tennessee. We are calling for a nationwide ban of Sharia in the United States of America. That should not be a problem to Muslims. Unless, of course, they have a hidden agenda, of which they do have. They have made it very clear. The organization CARE has made it very clear. We want Sharia in America to govern in certain issues. We are saying this. Muslims in this country, they are protected by the First Amendment. What we are not protected in their country. I cannot go to your country. I cannot go to Egypt. I have been to Egypt twice. I cannot go back to Egypt. I cannot go to Saudi Arabia. I cannot go to Afghanistan. I cannot go to Pakistan. I cannot go on the street and preach the gospel. I cannot go on the street and express my opinion. So why in the world would we ever tolerate even the thought that Islam is a religion of peace? It is not a religion of peace. See, the issue is this. In this country right now, Islam is a minority. It works like this. What a minority says, as long as a minority is unimportant. It is what does a minority do when the minority becomes a majority. How do they then treat the minority under them? And all we have to do is look at Islam. All we have to do is how they treat Christians, believers, unbelievers. So we are calling for a nationwide ban of Sharia. We believe that would reveal the true nature of Islam. A nationwide ban. George Washington said, the men of the past said many wise things. Come on back.
I am African. I'm a Christian. I'm a proud. Go back to the cabin.
We have to be very careful. Thomas Jefferson said that the people have 2 enemies. Listen. Thomas Jefferson said the people have 2 enemies, criminals and government. So let us bind the first one. So let us bind the second one with the chains of the Constitution, so the second does not become the legalized version of the first. That is the direction that we are going in America. George Washington said, if the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent, we may be led like sheep to slaughter. We are the only nation. I said this in Dearborn, Michigan. We saw this in Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan is for us a wake-up call. Dearborn, Michigan is what happens when Muslims get in the majority. In Dearborn, Michigan, we said this, and people were surprised all around the nation. People were surprised in the courtroom. Do you realize the United States of America is the only country left with freedom of speech? Well, we are the only country left, and they're trying to change that. Because if you speak up, if you speak out, then they want to call it hate. It's not hate, it's truth. The United States of America is the only country left that has true freedom of speech. And that freedom of speech we must preserve. Let us not be fooled. Let us not be deceived by what people say. But let's look at the countries that they represent. And in those countries, there is no freedom of speech, no freedom of religion. There is no freedom at all. I invite you to stay. We will be speaking all day long on I believe, very important issues. Let us think about it. Let us take it to heart. Let us look at the double standard we have in America. Thank you.